Hi everyone, it's Chenzo from Reality Art Pod. I'm here to talk about the challenge season 39, episode 2, 2 lungs, 1 heart, can't lose. Last week on the challenge, Big T sent home Jessica, who pretty much orchestrated her own quit. They celebrate Big T's win, and she wants to make sure that they can make it a guy's elimination next. Horacio worries that voting for Big T will come back to bite him, and that really was messy gameplay for no reason. Truly, why stick your neck out for Jessica, who basically volunteered to go in? Jay points out that there's a split house of USA contenders and international players with him kind of in the middle. Chauncey is riding in the middle with his USA allies, but feels like there's something off about Jay that he doesn't trust. They all work out outside, and Callum and Michelle are caught kissing out there in clear daylight. Huey and Olivia talk, and Olivia opens up about living in Alaska and dreaming of being more girly. Huey tells her about growing up in an Irish caravan lifestyle. He says that he has skills with living with people and getting along well with others, but Huey also has such a reputation of not playing well with others and not being able to live with people, so this seems so revisionist, but okay, go off. Kyland and Melissa are canoodling on the sofa, and I don't know how I feel about this. Kyland said that he had a crush on Melissa on Total Madness, and then she invites him back to her room. For their second challenge, it's heights over water, and they're going to be competing for $50,000. The challenge is called ball control. They have to gather balls in the water with their names on them, and then make a human ladder up 2 ropes, climbing up each other to drop the balls into a tube. This challenge just looks so hard. And they only have 23 minutes to do it. I feel like this would take hours. James reminds us that the last time he was on the challenge, he let himself down, so let's see if he can get through this one challenge without breaking his face. Kieran decides to take the lead yet again, and who keeps putting this guy in charge? He's a terrible leader. Well, obviously a lot of them agree with me because they all start chiming in and screaming at each other. There are way too many cooks in this kitchen. Huey says that he has no faith in the group completing this, and he just hopes that he's not in the elimination. In the water, Michelle, who's taking this all very seriously, finds her ball and says, "Hey honey, how are you honey? Moi." James climbs up Olivia and she calls him the Hulk, and they make sure to edit him green as he's stepping on her face. The challenge just ends up being a total mess. There's 8 out of 23 minutes left and they have no balls complete, and every ball that they get is $2,000. One of the rope ladder teams decides they just suck and to just give up on their ladder and try to climb up the other ladder instead. I think the optimal strategy for this was just to have a tower of guys and then have all the girls climb up the ladder of guys on just one side. So in the end, they only got 3 balls in and win $6,000, and we get a rare Huhui sighting when she tells us that maybe Chauncey should be nominated because he couldn't clip himself into the rope. This whole Chauncey not being able to clip himself in alibi seemed to really give them a good excuse to start throwing his name around. Berna, who seems to be having an easier time this episode, says that she's going to try to protect Huey in any way possible. Some of the stronger guys meet to discuss their targets in a bedroom. They decide that Huey and Big T are the biggest liabilities. In another room, Michelle points out that the cons to nominating Chauncey are that he will probably call Huey into elimination and stay in the game. James and Huey jokingly flirt, and at this point, this is more than enough Huey content for a lifetime for me. The challengers are going to the club, and I love when they go to the real club, not the club in the house. At the club, Michelle and Callum are having a great time giving each other googly eyes and flirting. Raven and Chauncey agree that the USA players should stick together. Jay tells Huey that it would be better for Huey to volunteer to go into elimination and choose a competitor than to get chosen by somebody, which was pretty solid advice. At the bar, everyone chants for Kyland and Melissa to kiss, and he won't kiss her, and she's embarrassed. Then she yells at him, saying that he's making her feel like shit about herself. She feels like she's chasing him, and Melissa brings so much amazing drama to this show. Kyland later opens up to her about being diagnosed with autism, which ends up being a sweet moment, and then they have a steamy moment in bed later when he's rubbing her back and whispering game talk in her ear. She says in confessional she could do without the game talk. The next day, Nerys whips out her "I love to make boys cry" t-shirt to Olivia, and then they start talking shit about Raven. They don't like that Raven was sticking up for Chauncey. Nerys calls Raven annoying and desperate, and I can't believe they all just don't like Chauncey because he couldn't do his clip. James and Kieran bond outside. Kieran wants to stick with the UK people, and James wants to protect Huey. Chauncey calls a meeting with some of the USA players to declare that he's loyal to them. Later, they deliberate outside, and Huey has an impassioned speech talking himself up. Callum is fired up by Huey's speech and says it reminds him of Braveheart: 2 lungs, 1 heart, 24 teeth. Callum says the thing. I've never seen Braveheart. I don't know what these people are talking about. They were desperate for an episode title. Chauncey asks the group if he'd ever done anything wrong. Horacio is like, "What about me? You did something wrong to me." And then Chauncey asks Michelle if he ever did her wrong, and she says yes. Jay chimes in that he also did him wrong. So it's kind of making itself known that there's more to them not liking Chauncey than the fact that he couldn't do his clip. There are a lot of people on this cast that feel betrayed by Chauncey. So they leave off this deliberation with no clear decision. Raven and Kieran have an alliance apparently, or a showmance, I can't tell. At some point, Kyland also brings up that the person voted in may only be able to pick someone who voted for them, and says that Raven has been sketchy and double dipping with the UK people. So it ends up being a complicated mess. Votes go all over the place. Chauncey ends up getting 18 votes and is going into elimination. Chauncey ends up choosing James, and they're playing Might Light, where they're on either side of a wall, basically trying to get 3 in a row of lit up pieces. And at the end of the 3 rounds, whoever has the most sequences of 3 is the winner. I would have liked to see these two in a more physical elimination, though I have more faith in Chauncey in this because I have zero faith in James as a competitor. The elimination ends up being pretty boring for the most part. In the first round, James has 9 and Chauncey has 6. Personally, I only needed 1 round of this. After round 2, James starts hyperventilating, and Melissa says James is absolutely not fit enough to run in a final and that he would gas out at the starting line. The score is 15-11 in James's favor going into the final round. The third round gets scored with fun music, which I guess makes it a little more fun. James is burnt out at this point. Big T says someone should get a paramedic for him. Then James passes out again at the end of the round, and in the end, it's James with 18 and Chauncey with 17, so James does win the elimination and brags a lot for someone who barely survived physically, but overall, he made himself look really weak in the process. And we have to say goodbye to Chauncey, who is a nice guy and he's fit, but he's a pretty terrible player, and he gets to go home to Amber and their baby. I don't have much to say about Chauncey on this run, but I would like to see him return with Amber in the future because I feel like the two of them together are better than the two of them apart. I would love to see Chauncey back and could definitely see him winning the challenge one day. But overall, that's really all I have to say about this episode. It was a pretty standard episode of the challenge. TJ does say that when his countdown goes off, then the game is about to go crazy, and that's I guess when the vets are coming. I'm really excited for that. But let me know in the comments, what did you think about this episode? Also, if you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe because I post these challenge videos every Wednesday after the show. Until next time, have a nice weekend, stay safe, bye!